Mira Business FM.
It's the morning drive. My name's Tim Elliott, a new show for professionals and the business-minded. Listen live on the website, mirabusiness.fm. Everything we do is there. You can find whatever you may have missed or want to catch up on or want to watch or listen to again. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on X for news, Instagram. That's where you'll find our shorts. I know what that sounds like, but you know what I mean. Reels, and on LinkedIn if you want to know more about our guests. Now, in this hour on the morning drive, it's Insights with Muzammil Shaikh. Now, Muzammil's with me. Nice to see you.
Hi, Tim.
Good to have you here. Look, today, I know your thing is kind of everything revolving around crypto and money and products and financial stuff. That's you're kind of the guru in these parts. So let's talk about something today that I think it's probably reasonable to say a lot of people are kind of confused by. I certainly am. Credit history, how it works, what you need to know about, the pitfalls, the shortfalls. And I'm going to hand over, Muzammil, to your expertise. Where do we start when it comes to a credit history?
Where do we start? So, as the UAE is evolving more and more into a more Western-like structure of finance, credit history and credit scores are becoming more important. And they are more and more creeping into different areas of their lives. And people don't know that if you miss a payment, it ends up part of your credit history. Like if you miss your DIVA payment and something, that also adds up. If you bounce a check, that becomes, it piles up. Like that's basically your report card that how well are you behaving in society for whatever reason. It cannot be, not necessarily malicious as such, but. So building a credit history from the start helps you in various areas because let's say when newcomers come in the country, it's very hard for them to get a credit card. They have to wait at least 3 months. Their 3-month salary should be coming in as a salary code in the bank account with WPS, or it should be a salary code for the bank to recognize its income, even though they might be generating freelance income. So that's one of the pitfalls of the struggles of newcomers, or rather even freelancers here in the country. Why do you need it? Like I said, it's a report card thing. Let's say you are trying to get an apartment and the guy is like, man, you're new here, you're going to default, I can't trust you, you have no backup. You can say, look, this is my credit history, never missed a payment, everything is clean, the government is basically backing you up.
I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? It's literally an automatic thing now that if you have any kind of financial product, it is recorded. I guess if you've had a credit card for a number of years and you pay it back on time every month, that's what I've learned to do. I wasn't always like that, but I just kind of do it. So I guess if that's natural for you, it's just a matter of course that you do that. Kind of unwittingly, you're building a reasonable credit score, or you're building towards a reasonable credit score.
Right, and the small caveat here is that people misunderstand that the banks, the reason sometimes, we were talking about the high credit limits you get sometimes, and there's a benefit to that. That's the reason is that if you go near your limit, you saturate your limit, that's a negative, because then you're becoming a risk or liability. They don't reveal exactly how the numbers work, but there are calculators around the net, you can find that out. So you should never ideally go beyond 30 to 40% of your granted limit. Let's say if it's 100K, AD can be 30K, 40K. So this basically shows to the bank and the board that, okay, you are basically a credit-worthy person, that you know how to manage your finances.
Yeah, and I guess when you build up a credit history and you've built it, we need to talk about what you can do, how it facilitates a way forward. So you're a good boy, essentially. You're paying your credit card back. You're not abusing anything. Your credit limit hasn't been saturated. Why is that important?
Well, if you're a family man, as many people are, that you have your school fees are there, and you say, okay, I can pay the school fees in the large lump sum, but I don't want to, right? I have an opportunity. If you have certain cards, many of the Islamic cards offer you interest-free conversions, right? And which is nothing wrong with it, right? It's basically kind of free money for 1 year, 6 months, and usually the term is 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, not more than that, not even 1 year sometimes. So you can avail that, and also you get some cash back on it, some of it. So let's say term fees is 10K, and you use the cashback card, because they give you cashback plus they give you the installment. So that's why there's nothing wrong with it, right? You're getting, let's say, 4% on it. And that kind of becomes your, monthly maybe coffee budget or whatever. And it's money is money, right? It's a saving in a sense. So that's how you strategically use them as you need them. Also, a lot of people are doing e-commerce, and Amazon has a lot of offers. I mean, I've seen like 6, 7 cards, even though I don't have the cards, it shows up those cards are showing the offers. And the offers are, for example, they say spend minimum 200. You can do that on groceries or something. And then you get a cashback like up to 75 or 50 dirhams per month, one time, basically.
Yeah.
And if you have the card anyway, and one thing I've noticed with the cards is that the cards that give these offers are usually not the cashback cards. You would think that on the offset, those cards are like not giving you much, but I've noticed that the way they strategically give you cashback is through offers via the e-commerce platforms like Noon or Amazon, and they give you pretty large seasonal discounts sometimes, which you get SMSs from. And one interesting thing, I'm focusing on the small things which help, is that these offers are now becoming more and more very like process-oriented. Oh, you need to reply with an SMS to confirm that you're joining the offer, otherwise you don't get the offer. So people end up assuming, oh my God, yes, I'm gonna get the cashback.
It's fulfilling your data obligation, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're opting into the offer. And a lot of people, what they do is that, the frustration happens, I did this work, but where's my cashback? But you were supposed to opt in to get the cashback.
Well, that's a reasonable assumption, really, isn't it? You do have to be affirmative. You've got to confirm. And really, that's the ultimate proof. It's what's necessary to avail an offer.
This is a recent thing. This wasn't happening before. Also, what they do is sometimes if you have a supplementary card sitting idle,
right,
you will get an SMS that use your card for a couple of months. And you get cashback, which is like a no-brainer. Like you already have the supplementary card because, I don't know, I'm guessing here, it could be a Visa, MasterCard kind of product agreement they have that they don't like dormant cards, and maybe, they will never disclose exactly what the details are. I'm just guessing here. Okay. So these are the kind of small things which you can do, which might think, oh man, you're like, that's too much work. Yeah, at times it is too much work, to be honest. But if you get in the habit of like just paying attention, it ends up being maybe up to 2,000 dirham in the year or more sometimes. Okay,
we're picking the brains of Muzammil Shaikh, who's one of the team here at Mira Business FM. Crypto, financial products, money, kind of his thing for the layman like myself. So that's credit history, really. And the reason to build a credit history, it's not just, when I put it in terms of being a good boy or being a good girl or whatever with the authorities, but it does allow you to get to a point where there's a level of trust in your attitude to your personal finances. Let's talk a little bit about products, Muzammil, because credit cards are a thing that I find incredibly useful. I find incredibly important. I find them to be benevolent these days, but I had to learn how to use them. Where do you start when somebody says, there's your card?
Now, the good thing about the UAE, which I've noticed that once upon a time, I think more than 15 years ago, 10 years ago, right, you had to get a personal loan. Nowadays, if you get a card, there's a personal loan pre-approved attached to the card. People don't realize that. And the rates are effectively the same as going out to the bank and asking for a personal loan, which is the difference which people forget that, hey man, you already have that facility available to you. So that's a big plus, I believe. So you can get instant cash and you say, hey, wait a minute, am I getting this horrible interest rate? In some cases, yes, you are. You might be getting like the 10% per month one. Some banks are doing that, but they're being completely honest about it. They're not lying to you. You can read it. The mistake people make is that, is it 10% per year or 10% per month? That's important to understand.
10% a month is huge.
Yes, some of them have very bad ones. Like it is what it is. And so, but there are banks which are saying flat 5% per year, pretty much, and then you're done. So you pay the 5% up front, and then you take the cash and you do whatever you want.
See, it's worth delving into that a little bit, actually, because if you, most credit cards, in my experience, are 1.5% to 2.5%, 3% per month. Most people quote them in that way, or most institutions seem to. But then there are, as you say, some that would quote an amount, a percentage every year. How should you look at that, and how do you get across how important it is to understand that? Because 2.5% a month, which is many of the cards here in the UAE, if you look at that on an annualized basis, hold on a minute, that's 30% a year. If you're revolving a balance, or i.e. not paying the full balance every month, and just paying the minimum, that's a hefty interest rate.
That's the worst kind, and usually it's the Western banks that do that. Unfortunately, it's not you don't get a good deal. Maybe they're following that US model per se in some cases. So, but like I said, the local banks are much more generous and more flexible with the terms as well. That's why I've seen anecdotally, I mean, it's an anecdotal thing that the mortgages are done by the Islamic banks. So perhaps they're giving a better deal. I'm not sure. I've not done a mortgage in my life, so I'm not sure. So that's related, but not completely related, because credit card debt is unsecured debt effectively. It's a tool. End of the day, the mindset piece is very important. What people end up doing is that when they're panicking, they should never do, even if it's a good debt, they should never go in that route. They should take a step back. If they're having a crisis, they should talk to someone who is not in the family, who is not involved in the crisis, to understand what's going on if there's a monetary crisis. And even if they have the facility of the debt, they should think 10 times before using it, because you have to give back the money at some point, right? You cannot keep converting the installments, and your limit will run out at some point. So,
but borrowed money is borrowed money. I mean,
yes.
But you're right, and that's an interesting point, I think. If you do face debt is an issue. It weighs you down. It's a hard thing to deal with. It impacts so many lives in so many different ways. But you do need to talk to somebody. And one of the things I think perhaps is worth getting across is the fact that you need to divorce the emotion from it. It's important to talk to somebody. And if you do need to restructure, go and see your bank. Talk to them. That's a really key thing to do. Take it outside of the family, as you said.
Usually when people are going through a hard time, usually there's no one around them to help them, to be honest. Like financially speaking, as a qualified person, there will be people who will be giving advice and whatnot. The easiest thing they can do is that they can just go on and, I mean, I'm not sure. Now you have so many AI tools which are so helpful, by the way. You can plug in the numbers. Okay, this is how much cash I have left. And if I take a loan, if I use a credit card, at this, it'll literally break down everything. You don't have to do the math yourself. It's so easy now. It's so much easier before. But people forget that you don't have to ask a friend. The AI tool could be Grok, could be Perplexity, could be 360 or Copilot. I know all the good ones are there. Manus is all of. There's a list of them. They'll give you pretty good answers. And if you plug in the right numbers, okay, I've got these many months left. I've got school fees to do. If I start converting my monthly statement balance, what is the impact? How long before I hit the wall, like basically? So when you see the numbers, the clarity comes with the numbers immediately.
Well, it does, but I think still for a lot of people, talking to AI is one way of doing it. But I still think there's the human element where it's that feeling of getting it off your chest. Do you know what I mean? How important is that?
So it's a two-part question, basically. One is the emotional element, that if there is someone who is empathetic enough to understand what's going on. But what you need usually at that time is someone who is qualified enough to help you in a more skillful, practical way.
Sure.
That's your immediate requirement. I'm assuming that you have somehow managed to compose yourself in that situation, and now, of course, mental health is the top priority. You compose yourself, you get out of it, you do exercise, you do take a shower, whatever, you just get out of it. Because as Jocko Williams says, like, okay, in the Marines, you get a few minutes to get angry, get upset, then move on, basically. Otherwise, it'll never solve itself. So we do that bit, and then we find someone, which is very hard, by the way, in this country. How do you find someone who's not a salesperson selling you something? Trying to, you need someone who is independent as advisor, who is used to dealing with you.
That's an interesting point, because there are lots of banks that for many years had relationship advisors, and you would be able to go and talk to. I mean, back in the day, I guess you'd go and talk to the bank manager and actually have a conversation. Less and less we're doing that now, because we've moved so much online. So you do need to find that person, and I guess that's a good place to start.
There are even fewer branches, by the way.
This is true.
Banks have reduced your footprint. They don't want to deal with you. Some other banks have gone high net worth. They have these very nice, fancy-looking wealth centers for people who are. So it is the way of the world that if you have money, money makes money kind of thing, and if you are drowning, or rather about to hit a wall or something is happening, there are few resources available, which is a huge market opportunity, by the way. There are many websites that can come up, can help you in that. They can even be hotlines in some ways.
Sure. So, all right. So you get into an issue with debt that you need to talk to people. You can maybe restructure debt. One thing I wanted to ask you was, and this is kind of going back to credit history, but we're still with credit cards. How does your card allowance, the credit limit, affect your credit history?
So the limit is assigned based on the income. The recognized income is an important word. Recognized means the salary is only in the banks here, even in the West, in Europe. Through the traditional method of sending the wire, the exchanges, or rather will assign a code to it, the banking code, which is called like a salary code. That is recognized as salary. You could be getting in millions of dollars, but they would say that's not salary. That's irregular income. But they want to see that number, which says salary. And that is the only number the bank and the automated tools see as an income, and based on that, you will get your credit limit. That's how the first thing that happens. These are the small, finer details people don't understand. Like, hey, man, look, I have all this money. Yes, you can, but you can get a secured card. That's different. But if you want to get an unsecured card with, like, based on your income, which is what most people get here, that's the number that start from. That could be whatever your salary is. And then that limit is assigned based on that.
Right.
Then it will be also based on your debt burden ratio, DBR. If it's more than 50%, good luck getting any other cards if you're exceeding the payment for that. This is a new safety measure that's been introduced by the UAE Central Bank a couple of years ago, which has stopped all of that, the frivolous, expense people were basically taking on, too much debt and basically leaving the country as well. So that was also happening at some point.
That was an issue at one point, yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit about credit history, credit cards. What do you look for? How do you select a card? What should you be looking for? What should you be avoiding as well?
It's the good thing is that there are, I believe, 20 different cards here, and the products on each of them. Now, I'm going to just give you an analysis. The analysis here is that the products are designed based on mostly what the Visa, MasterCard offer you and a combination of the banks, basically. So you might notice that, hey, man, like these two cards look exactly the same, but they're offered by different banks, but it is probably Visa or MasterCard doing the product segment. So, for example, if you're getting 4% cashback on groceries, on telecom, on school fees, and the other one is doing the same, but they're offering a lower yearly fee, of course, go with that card. This makes more sense. So all of these products are designed on the back end, because the automation comes from the payment processors. And then the money part, the layers, the settlement part, the loan part comes from the banks. The payment processors is the product part. So there's a combination hand-in-hand thing going there. How do you select them? So look at your expense. If you're a person who is spending most on travel, look for the travel card, which gives you discounts on tickets and maybe free tickets or hotels and whatnot. Just do the final number. I mean, it's much easier now when you can even plug in the names of the cards, and then AI will help you shortlist the cards for you. That's even easier. Before, we had to do manual research and dig through the PDFs and all of that. No need. They'll search for all the PDFs and find the numbers. And the number I've seen from a percentage point of view is 5%. 5% is the card I've seen, which is like those numbers don't move much. 2, 3, 4, 5. So, for example, 5% a bank is giving it, and again, Islamic Bank. It's not in Dubai, but you get 5% on online, on supermarkets, on those are most family-oriented cards are like that. But
so this is real cash back.
Immediately, yeah. Usually immediately. Some of them do automatic cashback. Some of them have a minimum spend criteria, which is a new thing again. Which what they did is this happened this couple of months ago. Many cards said, "Hey, we need a minimum spend," because earlier you could just do 500 and you can get the whatever percent. But now they're saying, "No, we want monthly 1K, 2K, 3K, 4K," and you would realize, "Hey, I'm not spending 4K. I'm kind of there. Why would I be spending more? Because at the end of the day, spending more is basically earning less and investing less in the end." So this is what's going on. And
okay. I mean, this is the key to all of this, isn't it? Is understanding your finances and understanding what works for you and making it work for you. That's at the heart of all of this. To decide which card you need to have, how you need to use the card, what you need to spend in a month on the card. Should you have more than one credit card?
Yes, you need at least two, I would say 2.5 sometimes, meaning that there will be the primary card.
Who does a half credit card?
As
Oh,
in
I
the
want that
benefit,
one.
the benefits, yeah, exactly, the benefits. So, and people say, hey, I'm going to close the card. I don't have exact details, but sometimes they say that closing a card damages your credit history sometimes. That happens in the US. I'm not sure if it's happening here.
Okay.
So leave the card alone. If it's not, there's no cost to it. Leave it alone. And disable it if you want peace of mind or something, like disable it from online transaction or something. But you never know, because sometimes it might come up with this fantastic offer. Because what they do is, if you have a dormant card lying around, once a year they'll give you like super offers on it. And you could end up saving like even 200 dirhams on maybe the phone you were about to buy. And what's wrong with that, right? You were about to buy the phone anyway, or whatever item. So
Well, let me just share my experience with you, because I've had a credit card for same bank for about 20 odd years, and it's a card that you build up points with. And I'd never really thought about it before. I use the card, I bought flights with the card, sometimes I buy groceries, but I use it for, I don't know, online purchases. I hadn't looked at the points, and I was at a retailer one day, and somebody said to me, do you want to pay with the card, or do you want to pay with the points? And I said, I guess, well, how many points have I got? Because I had absolutely no idea. So they checked on the terminal. It was something like 9,225 points, whatever it was. So I said, well, how much is that worth? And it was 9,225 dirhams that I'd built over many, many years.
Right.
Had absolutely no idea it was there. So that day I spent a little bit more than I was actually intending to. But these are the things that if you use them properly, rather than ignore them like I did, or you just walk around in a haze, which is what I seem to do, it's really useful to know you can make these things work for you.
absolutely, the key word is attentiveness. I mean, this is the mantra
yeah,
of my life
yeah.
with my family. I say the word that if I have to say one word, if you want to fix your life about anything, health, wealth, doing your job, just attentiveness. Improving your attentiveness in day-to-day, less distraction, more attention, just fixes so many things, like preemptively.
You just made a really philosophical point, Muzammil, that I'd never really thought about, but it's just that when you need to be aware, be attentive. Chill, do whatever you want in your life, but if you look after the little things, and that's really what you're saying, isn't it?
Just being in the moment. I mean, what's happened is that we are becoming the dopamine addicts, right? This ping comes, this there, and then this kind of focus work, which we used to do with less distraction, has our mind is pulled in different directions, which then you lose focus energy to doing whatever. Even if you're having fun, by the way, so people are distracted even while they're having fun. So that tells you, right? Basically, you're not there even in the moment while you're supposed to be having like enjoyment, right? Pure enjoyment has its deep health benefits, and people are just completely distracted. So you're in the middle of something and thinking about the next thing, but why were you thinking about the next thing? But you were supposed to be in the form of first thing.
And that's another good point, actually. If you can make this, this kind of credit history stuff, credit cards, money, you're having to look after finances, quite stressful very often. It's something that weighs us down. If you can enjoy that, then your life's going to be better. I like that. We're talking about credit history, credit cards on Mira Business FM this morning. Just a couple of more questions for you. Credit cards versus debit cards. Everywhere we go now, it's the tap or it's the phone being used. Very few people are using cash these days. And it's a shame in some ways, because if you're at the shop and guy comes up and says car wash, very often now it's tapping the card. But I never seem to have any cash if I want to offer a tip to somebody or pay for something quickly. Credit versus debit.
Credit versus debit. Debit cards have no insurance on them, no protection on them, basically.
Right.
It's money to money, right? Basically, direct money is taken from your bank account immediately. This is why the credit cards are acting like somewhat of a shield when you're using them, that if something happens, there are insurance and reinsurance systems around in the infrastructure of the bank to get your money back. But if a debit card transaction is gone wrong, either through your fault or through fraud or whatever, you're kind of like stuck in a very bad place at that moment. So that's the primary reason, the structural reason, regardless of the points, regardless of the credit, regardless of anything. That is the first line of defense you can exercise. Lately, I believe there's only one bank which is doing a good job, is VO Bank, is that they have a card which has no number on it. and it's a virtual card, and you can turn it, make it a debit card, or you can make it a virtual card, and you can even throw away the number immediately. So this is how they've basically solved the problem. I believe it's a MasterCard product at the back end.
What do you mean when you say throw the number away? How does
It's the number is like expired. You just disable the number, and it gives you a different number, and it just activates the number on the fly, unlimited. So this is the next level of fraud protection, which is absolutely amazing, because that's what you want. And even if let's say I want to pay for something which is outside of my credit limit, like it's a big number, I'm buying a car or some real estate transaction,
right?
And I can only do with a debit, but I don't want to give my debit card number. I switch the card to debit card mode in that moment, pay off that large amount because the credit limit is obviously not that large, and then disable the card, or rather just switch to a different card number. That's it. The debit card number changes, it cycles out.
And you just do that within the banking app
Within the
or
app.
whatever. That's very clever. I like that. Assuming you've got that much money in the bank, of course. That's the key with the debit card.
Yes, because it'll obviously and the good thing is that some of the products are now blending. The new banks are doing this where you are getting points even on the debit card. But again, it's not advisable for the legacy banks to use a debit card. And if you're tapping somewhere, especially not online, never online, because your number is so, unless you're using something like maybe Google Pay, where the number is obscured and becomes a token through the wallets, that's a different story. So that's the first thing with the debit cards. And I believe that legacy banks have a lot of catch up to do with the new banks, and the new banks coming out, they have a lot of catch up to do.
Okay. So when you're choosing a card, final question. My experience with points was a pretty good experience. I've used most of the points now, just in case you're wondering, since then.
They do expire, by the way. That's important to remember.
Yeah, that's a good point to make, actually. Yeah, I'm just trying to build my points up again. Points or cashback? When you're looking at a card, obviously it's very much a personal thing, but what would you advise? I
have seen they play around more with the point system, because they move the lever up and down sometimes.
Right.
But the cashback is more transparent. It's more there. So if it drops from 3 to 2, you see it dropping. But in the points, it's pretty obscure. Oh, you do this, you jump through these hoops, you get that on the weekend, you get more points. This is why I don't like points cards.
Okay.
This is the lesson I've seen there. But like when they work, they really work well. But you have to really understand. You have to be, if you're a numbers guy, if you like numbers, that's one more important thing I want to talk about is the understanding the conversions which happen through the e-commerce platforms, because I know a colleague faced a lot of issues when he bought something through an e-commerce platform and the platform converted it, but it didn't really convert on the card, and he ended up paying extra finance charges on it. Okay. So just be very careful, even if the app is showing you an installment, but if the banking app is showing you the full number, is it really happening? Because I just found out that some banking apps will show you the installment number at the time of statement date, not at the time of so all of these small nuances become very big if it's a big transaction, or maybe your funds are stuck for whatever reason and you cannot pay that. You'll end up paying so call the bank, be careful, understand the flow. A lot of the times what's happening, it's the banking API talking to the e-commerce platform, and there's sometimes some misalignment happening there. Who will pay? Of course, the customer ends up paying. In the intermediate, you will be suffering. So these small nuances are becoming big, and it could become big, especially if you bought something and you're on the edge of it, right, and you got to pay it.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to ask questions, read the fine print, make sure you're aware of...
Best thing, call them, and then be sure that, okay, I did this transaction, did it go through as expected? Because usually it will not, whatever the text says, the call center people are pretty well informed. In most of the banking cases I've seen, they're very well informed, and that's become the first line of contact, where they do have more power and authority than the branch people, by the way. I've seen that also happen, so...
Do you know what? It's a good point to make, because I've had a few run-ins with call center staff, and in most cases, I'm usually the one in the wrong because I haven't understood something. They talk me down, sort it out, and if it is a bank issue for whatever reason, they are able to resolve it. It is worth calling and making your point, but not too forcefully.
Yeah, and what they're doing is some banks, the newer banks rather, have like no AI layer, right? So you press two buttons and you're talking to the agent, but the other ones are putting you round and round through some some AI.
There's a whole interview, there's a whole half an hour on banking systems, banking call centres as well, I'm sure. It's interesting, you know, on Morning Drive, talking to Muzammil Shaikh. Muzammil's part of the team here at Mira Business FM, talking credit history, credit cards, some of the pitfalls, some of the things to look for, some of the things to look out for. It's Muzammil's thing. Currencies, money, crypto, you name it. He's the man we ask. It's been good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Much appreciated. This is Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM.